if I can if I can arrange it like once a week to do Etrian with you here, I would love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if we can just set up some kind of schedule that I can be aware of, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but we can
I
take
mean,
care of all of that off stream. I'll go
yes,
ahead and
absolutely.
yeah. So like did did we even mention who you are before I started streaming?
I did. Yes, yes, it's fine. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
this is a guy who actually streams right and has all his ducks in a row. So go watch Korunick's channel. You'll love it. I guess I'll
it.
put a
I mean,
link.
you might. I play some weird games, and I don't play very. I guess I'm saying this to you, but I'm also a fairly small time streamer in the sense that I stream what 3 times a week approximately. So
Yeah, but you've been doing it for 7 years and you know what you're doing.
I mean, you know, I still make mistakes on stuff, so it happens.
Either way, the important thing is like so it's a lot of
the other day,
streamers.
the other day, I turned off the volume on the wrong thing. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna cough or something, so I'm gonna mute myself, and I muted the game instead, and then coughed loudly into the microphone. Oh, it's great. I was like, that's not the right bounce in that. Oh, dang it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I guess that's some Etrian for the day. That's as long as I play Etrian once a week, I think I'm a happy person.
Etrian is good stuff.
Yeah. Is there any other important games that are in this genre that we could mention real quick?
In the 3D first person dungeon crawler.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
the
sure. I mean,
Experience
like
Inc.
there's the
games or oh, what's that one that
there's
you just did a
there's
review on? Let's
there's well, so I just did a review of Arcana for SNES, which is like it. I would call it baby's first dungeon crawler, but it's actually a really well written game that doesn't pull punches in like the dialogue and writing. So that's a good one. But no, I'm thinking of stuff more modern. Like Mary Skelter series is really good.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and huge. Like for a sense of scale, Wizardry. The first Wizardry had 10 floors of 20 by 20 squares each floor, and Mary Skelter has some levels that are almost that large. The first one does, at least. There's Stranger in Sword City, or the sequel to that. Those are both by Experience Inc., which
Savior
is
of Sapphire Wings.
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Stranger
those
in
are
Sword City, that's probably my favorite one out of that particular like that's Experience Inc., right?
Experience Inc. are the grand masters of modern dungeon crawlers. That's just what they are.
Yeah, I think
Um,
Stranger of Sword City is probably my favorite out of all of them.
it's really good. It's really really good. There's I mean, if you've got like a way to play Vita games, there's that Dungeon Travelers game, which is really good.
Dungeon
Um,
Travelers 2. I don't think the
yeah,
first one is
the
on
first one
there,
didn't get localized here, no.
but 2 is
Um,
great. Wasn't it
two
like am I
two is a
wrong in remembering
two
that
two it's good. It's a little bit anime niche kind of style, like in a big way. So if you don't like that kind of art style, you might not enjoy that one. But it's a solid dungeon crawler with good maps. There's Labyrinth of Refrain, Labyrinth of Galeria. Those both came out recently, and
those
they're on
games were
Steam.
amazing?
Those ones are actually pushing dungeon crawlers like in a good direction because they have things like dynamic levels that you have to edit in order that you have to like break walls and stuff in order to solve puzzles. So those are
Yeah, that
really
was
good.
crazy.
Yeah, it was a really neat addition to the like the dungeon crawler.
I
What you call it,
remember you
pastiche.
calling me and being like, "Yeah, so they gave me this thing in this game, and so I'm playing a dungeon crawler, and now I can just smash through any wall I want." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's really good. Um, there is an old Wizardry game that came out a long time ago. They did a remake of it called Wizardry: The Five Ordeals. That got put out on Steam, and it has an English translation now, which is nice. What else have we got? Um, Legend of Grimrock and its sequel are also really good and in this kind of genre. Although they require a little bit of actual like reflexes, so they're not
Yeah,
entirely
they're
turn based.
real-time action, kind of like the old Eye of the Beholder, was it?
Eye of the Beholder, they're actually closer to Dungeon Master because of the fact that you have like food and water requirements and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that. um, yeah, I really love dungeon crawlers, and I have a bad habit of buying basically every dungeon crawler that I can get my hands on.
Fortunately, they don't release too
Star
many of
crawlers is
them.
something good. No, they're definitely niche.
What
Like
was that last one?
they're star crawlers.
Oh right, yeah.
Star crawlers
Shoot,
is really good.
I keep
In a
forgetting I have
sci-fi
that.
world instead. Yeah, I do too. um, yeah, there's also the Elmanage series, which is also really good.
I haven't gotten anywhere in that because I need to go buy some graph paper. It's one of them ones that you need to map out yourself, and I just forgot
Yes,
to. I sat down to play it, and I started the dungeon. Then I was like, wait a minute, where's the map? I don't even know. They don't even have like a map spell in the game for you, do they?
they do. Yes,
But it's like
but
one you
like
can't use constantly.
well, so they end up giving you an item. So there's two Elmanage games. There's Elmanage Classic and Elmanage um some other word.
Enhanced or something.
Gothic. Elmanage
Gothic, yeah.
Gothic. And one of them gives you a map item early on, which is good and usable. The other one does not.
Okay, so maybe I should start a game in Gothic. Yeah, these games are
Yeah,
great. Like I know that they kind of made a comeback there for a while. I don't know how popular they got, but I mean Etrian definitely had a lot to do with that.
there's a lot of influence from Etrian. There's a lot of influence from the fact that wizardry was really popular in Japan, and so there are a lot of companies that started making wizardry clones and like wizardry like updates kind of. They even there was even it's on Steam and GOG now, but there's a game called Wizardry City of Lost Souls or something. Uh, there's a wizardry game, and the startup screen to it has this this line called Wizardry Renaissance, where the idea was that there was going to be a renaissance of wizardry style games from some company in Japan, and it, there were two games, and then it kind of fizzled out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I never picked up the second one.
But I mean, honestly, Etrian Odyssey series is one of the most well balanced dungeon crawlers that there is. Like the Elmanage ones, the balance is kind of just as bad as old Wizardry. Um, then you've got like the Stranger in Sword City, which is a little bit tricky to balance, but Etrian is pretty like right at the right level of like things are balanced, and you don't have to do too much crazy stuff. So
Except maybe the first one. But like for the most part, Etrian just like cannonballed this kind of game into the mainstream because
yes,
it's really easy to get into. You you can actually figure it out pretty straightforward. It doesn't
yeah,
require like back in the day when we were kids and it was like Bard's Tale and Wizardry games. You didn't have to sit down and plan out everything. You could actually
yes,
just dive right in and figure it out on the fly. And
yeah,
it made it really easy to adjust your party if you had to, which is
yep.
not easy to do in a lot of the other games I've tried.
That's very true. That's another balance issue that a lot of these games have problems with. There's I was gonna mention what was it? Uh, I lost it. I feel like there was one other one that I was gonna mention, but I cannot remember what it was.
I can't think of we've gone through a lot of the ones that I already know. I mean, there's Tokyo Babel and
Oh, those, yeah. So there's actually a visual novel called Tokyo Babel, and then there's actually another game made by the company that made the Zith series, and I think that was Experience, wasn't it?
yeah,
Or was that
because it was Tokyo Babel and what was the first one?
Tokyo? Oh gosh, I can find this. Hold on.
I really can't remember the first one.
Operation Babel and
Oh,
Operation
Operation Babel, yeah. Operation
Operation Babel,
Abyss.
not Operation Abyss and Operation Babel. Yeah, those
Yeah.
ones are they're also very wizardry esque, including some of the bad points of wizardry where it's a little bit unbalanced at times.
They also had those games that were like more cartoonish.
Well, there was like um gosh, what was it was called?
Demon's Gaze.
Like, oh, Demon Gaze. Yeah, there were two of those. Those are pretty good. Um, though they're also kind of niche just in their anime-ness. But there was oh gosh, there was another. These games are niche, but there's actually quite a few of them. I guess is the point.
Yeah, and they're really fun. They're games like, I mean, they're games that are
A
definitely,
lot of people don't like these games because they require pen and paper usually.
and a lot
They
of
have a lot
time. They're
of
time
they have a lot
sinks.
of time, and they have a lot of like, oh, I pushed the wrong button and my party wiped.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna sit down to an Etrian game, I mean, you're looking at a solid 100 hours for Etrian 1 if you're lucky. Probably more like 150.
Yeah, something like that. They're good value for if you like the gameplay, if you enjoy the gameplay, they're good value for your buck.
And they've got them on PC now, so you can just like sit back in a recliner and
I
just
mean, I'm hoping that this Etrian Origins thing, where they've got 1, 2, and 3, gets enough sales that they bring out one with like 4, 5, and what was the dungeon crawler one called?
that was Mystery Dungeon, Etrian Mystery
Yeah, Mystery
Dungeon.
Dungeon. Like that would be another cool trilogy to
Which,
see.
if the Etrian games are the best of the dungeon crawlers, Etrian Mystery Dungeon is probably the best, like, uh,
Oh, it's the best top down roguelike ever.
yeah, yeah,
Like
easily.
it's easily the best one.
I played a couple that like they're there, but they're not. They just don't have as much in them.
Yeah.
The people that worked on Etrian games were just they were on their A game, and I really wish that they would announce another one instead of all these Persona. I know the Persona games are the moneymaker, but Persona 3 already existed, and it's not like the fan base for Etrian was dying; it was growing.
I mean, so there were. Also, that's another set actually. There was the Persona Q
Oh yeah, yeah. The
games.
people that made these Etrian games made similar dungeon crawlers, but they used the Persona franchise, so there actually are Persona games that are dungeon crawlers like the
Yes,
Etrian games, and they're really
and
good too.
they're both really good. Yeah.
And they're not like carbon copies of an Etrian game either, because they use all the elemental differences that the Persona games used. Or
Yeah, the
I guess that would be
combat
the
is a
Shin
lot
Megami
more.
Tensei. Uh, they
Yeah,
they
it's the
use
same
like the
thing. I
lightning
mean,
effects that
Persona's a spin-off of Shin Megami, so
yeah, yeah, but like the old Shin Megami, like maybe Devil Survivor, where they had the strategy game. I think it was Devil Survivor. The
that was a
strategy
strategy game. That
one.
one's fairly recent, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it was the first one on 3DS, is the one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I don't know if it was a port or if that was actually just its own game, but
No, that was its own game. It was I think it was a 3DS exclusive.
yeah, it was I think it was the first 3DS game that I bought, and
But that's a turn-based strategy game, so it's a very different animal from
well, the
Dungeon
point
Crawler.
is that it uses that system of like this element does this and this element will
Yes.
do this effect, and you had to kind of balance what attacks you were using to help determine the flow of the battle.
Yeah.
So it's not a carbon copy of Etrian. It looks the same, like at a glance, like the dungeon layouts and everything are the same. Not like the same maps, but like they kind of you wander around the same way. But within the game, when you're doing combat and things, it it's set up the same, but it uses a different system. So you're not just like picking some skills and trying to make a party that works. You're actually looking at each battle like, okay, I have to lightning this character to stun it, and then I have to try and attack it as it comes out. It was just weird stuff. I don't remember exactly, but they're good
Hmm.
games.
Hmm.
I count them as Etrian games. Like the only thing missing from my Etrian collection is the second Persona Q.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one. Those games had some amazing tchotchkes that came with them when they came out. Like the first one, I think had a full fledged 3DS case that came with it,
Yeah, it did. It did.
and
I actually
that's a
keep my PSP in that.
yeah blasphemer.
Or was it the Vita? I had something that I kept in it,
Yeah,
but it wasn't the 3DS because I never really put that in a case because I was always using it.
I always kept my stuff in cases because my 3DS was one of those limited edition Fire Emblem ones, and I was like, must not be scratched.
I mean, I don't understand how people like let them get so scratched up. I remember one time years ago, I was trading in a Nintendo DS Lite, I think, to
Yeah.
get the 3DS. I think that's what I
Yep.
was doing.
Yep.
And I handed it in, and the guy that I gave it to was just like, "This is the most perfect 3DS or perfect DS that I have
Yeah.
ever seen come into the store to be sold." And I was just like, I mean, I take care of my stuff, but it's not like I went out of my way. I always put it on a
Yeah.
shelf when I was done with it and closed the case. That's all I did. No,
Yeah. I mean, there are people who don't go that far.
I mean,
Oh,
I like to,
I was gonna mention there's a new Bard's Tale. There's Bard's Tale 4 came out fairly recently.
yeah, I would like to
I
go
have
through
it, but I
those.
haven't played it.
And it's actually like a dungeon crawler. It's not like that one that came out where it was,
No, that spin-off was a fluke. It wasn't bad, but it was a fluke.
yeah, yeah, I'd love to check out that. All right, well, that should, uh, that should be enough food for thought that for anyone that wants to play them. So,
Yeah, I mean, you could chop this out as like a separate video of like we talk about dungeon crawlers
no, 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 no.
and our
I'm,
bizarre love for dungeon crawlers.
I'm gonna chop it out, and then I'm just going to like cut out every other second of the video, and then like squish them together and put one on one end and one on the other, and it'll make no sense at all. I'm not really gonna do that.
Don't do that. It's a bad idea.
All right. Until next time, then.
Until next time.